I were you, I raise this question that Harsh, why we need to learn again about Microsoft Azure Active Directory users and groups. But don't worry guys, I'm not here to tell you how to create a users in Azure Active Directory because we are going through a cybersecurity course from the Microsoft, and I'm sure all of you have already gone through AZ-900 and AZ-10 course of mine in the YouTube channel, and you are very well aware how to start creating those users and the groups so that you can start managing your identities. I'm here to tell you what are the security parameters and the options available so that you can start protecting your identities. Hello guys, my name is HarshArena, and there's something new to you because I know it's a kind of a confusing way that, all right, Harsh, I mean, you are telling us that Azure Active Directory is not protected. No, I'm not here to tell you exactly that. I'm here to tell you that why the security parameters are important for you, why Microsoft has introduced that Microsoft Entra for you, and why it is so important nowadays for the organization to start protecting their identities. The reason number one, nowadays the attackers or the hackers are quite smart and intelligent so that they can start intercepting all those communication going through over the internet. Previously, we used firewalls and we are managing our identities locally. So we have our own security principles. I mean, principle in the sense, security parameters, the security boundaries, and we are actually allowing only certain requests to come through our identity server, verify the identity, and then we allow users to access their resources. But nowadays, thing is being currently managed over the internet, which means this Microsoft Azure Active Directory is currently managed by Microsoft, and they are giving you the whole authority to manage these other identities. And another reason, because likewise Azure Active Directory is so popular because in the past people like to use Active Directory in on-premises network, and of course, Azure Active Directory also allows you to seamlessly working with this kind of a hybrid environment where Active Directory is currently working in on-premises and your half of the identities is managed by Azure Active Directory. So how this bi-directional communication is going on, and sometime when you have this communication happen, people are not using a secure channel. Though Microsoft is giving you an option to choose it, but imagine if you don't do that, then sometime those information being intercepting by these hackers, and then they try to gain access of your resources. And if they do, obviously it makes a big difference. It makes a very big damage to your organization and specifically to you, because they are challenging you that why you are maybe not using a very good password, very strong password. Maybe you're using password like password 123, maybe password $, or maybe hash, or maybe star. These are the very, common password we like to use because we like to remember this password, and sometimes we don't use a complex password. And it's a long story. I mean, I make it very short for you. If somehow your account is compromised, then people like to gain access of the resources, and those resources are very much and important, and consider that secret information to the business, and definitely none of the organizations are quite ready to share those information. So basically Microsoft Azure Active Directory gives you all those Microsoft security kind of a protection so that you can leverage all those resources to protect your identities. I give you one quick example. If your application is being deployed intranet or over the internet, doesn't matter, people like to use single sign-on. Single sign-on is a great way so that you can start accessing your applications. And of course, it doesn't matter whether you are sitting in a cafe or over the airport or you are sitting somewhere else. I mean, you are easily able to access as long as you have the internet connection. The second thing, the second great security thing has been provided in Microsoft Azure Active Directory is a conditional access. I'm sure you heard about RBAC, role-based access control, which is a great way to start assigning those permission to authorize user to access their resources. Conditional access is something like, for example, I have deployed SSO, which is a great way to automatically logged in the users to access their application and sometimes resources as well. But there's a condition. The condition is you must have enabled this multifactor authentication, or MFA, with the Microsoft Authenticator, or maybe via an SMS, or maybe via a text message, or maybe via a call. So these are the parameters that you need to set first, and then only it allows you to access your resources. And that's exactly a great example of a conditional access. And this is something you need to deploy, and we will deploy as a part of our security features. But when we learn how to start creating the users and the groups in Microsoft Azure Active Directory, and I am requesting you, please try before to go through this video that how to create a user and group in Microsoft Azure Active Directory. The another thing I give you in this picture as well, that if you type a username and the password and somehow your account is being compromised, what are the important things you will take care of right after that? So obviously a great example is the governance. I mean, governance in Azure Active Directory will allow you to understand how your identities are going through. I mean, whether they are getting the successful authorization to access their resources, or they are able to access their resources successfully or not. Or maybe you can find some unwanted kind of guest who is trying to gain access to the resources. And as an example, here is a hacker who is trying to look for a username and the password. I'm sure you are watching some of the videos on the YouTube that how you can simply go to your browser, open and type F12 on your keyboard, and not type, I mean click on F12 key on your keyboard, and automatically it will open a bunch of information that is a browser cache, and from that cache you are easily able to guess the username and the password. And it usually happen in the cyber cafe. I don't know how many of you are going to the cyber cafe nowadays, or otherwise people like me, if I went to a Starbucks, or I mean go to like cyber cafe, or I mean any other place was a public place, and people like to use their username and the password to do the critical stuff and secret stuff basically. So I can certainly try to fetch their username and the password using some techniques like guessing the passwords using the brute force, and I can do some SQL injection on the website where I can try to find out some username and the password if you are not using a protection for your website. I mean, it happened. It's a real world, and in the real world, these things are really important to take care of. That's how these security features comes into the picture. You need to understand that how a single identity can start allowing you to control on this like grant access or denying access based on these roles and information. So don't worry, we will learn that how you can start managing this unified identity management, which has been provided with the help of Microsoft Azure Active Directory. And we will learn as well that how you can start governing all this information in a very simple dashboard in Microsoft Azure Active Directory. And likewise, I said, it is gonna be fun and you will enjoy. And of course, a very new feature in Microsoft Azure Active Directory, that is Microsoft Entra. We will also go through that as a basic today. And from today to the next 4 or 5 videos in cybersecurity are dedicated to this security parameters, security features in Azure Active Directory. So guys, let's begin the Microsoft Azure Active Directory management to protect your identities. And that's with the baseline. To make us successful, Microsoft Azure Active Directory secure baseline to protect your identity, you need to understand it's not common for each and every organization because everyone has their own standards and their requirement. But yes, what I'm trying to show you at this moment is a international standard, and in other words, scuba details. And what is that scuba? Scuba means actually it's a cybersecurity and infrastructure security agency which is actually performing secure cloud business applications process. And in this process, if they like to protect their application, there are some set of rules and set of settings or security parameters that you need to match before to make sure you are in production at the end of the day. So this is a draft document which I found from the government website, and it's a US based website. But definitely don't worry, I'm going to share with you this website link in the description for your reference. But what I would like to share with you in a quick time, what are the security baseline you need to take care of once you start moving ahead with the securing your Azure Active Directory. Now, here's the thing, here's a baseline detail. I think you should go to step number 2 or point number 2 in the table and start reviewing legacy authentication shall be blocked. That's the condition number 1. High risk users shall be blocked. 2. Similarly, Azure AD logs shall be collected, which is a very great way because that's how you're going to start analyzing what happened during the hijacking. Where was the main strategic point, how the hackers got access to the user account. That's how we can gather the detail and how the Azure Active Directory behaving behind the scene to understand where is a bug, where is that security loopholes that we need to fix, that we need to fulfill. All those details you can get only when you have the right logs with you. Another example in 2.6, only administrators shall be allowed to register third-party application, which is a great way. Do not allow any normal user to perform this action, because if these are the enterprise applications, then I think who will have the right access? Administrator should take responsibility, and he's the sole responsible person who can allow yes or no to the users based on the application access assigned by the organization. In the 2.8, password shall not expire. This is a condition because that is not a good idea for me, because password never expire. But again, I would like to request users to keep changing their password in every 90 days. That is my condition. I don't know if other organizations have other minds and other kind of requirement, but this is something I should prefer as a cybersecurity engineer. Browser sessions shall not be persistent. What is a persistent and what is non-persistent, I'll explain you later. But at this moment, if the browser session is keep open on the PC, if it keep open for a long time, because I'm sure you have seen this some example, if you logged in with your user and you do not touch the browser for let's say half an hour or 15 minutes, automatically that session say, hey, your session is expired, you need to re-log in again. That's a good way, because if your session is persistent, the username password is not going to expire. Your session is still running for a long time, and sometimes it is so much easier for hackers to hijack the session, because it's important to disable these kind of settings. Another example as in this baseline 2.17, managed devices should be required for authentication. Because managed devices are those which is currently managed by the organizations. So we'll talk about these all one by one, but at this moment I'd like to just tell you these are the conditions and these are the step-by-step detail how you can achieve that, what you need to do, what exactly you have to perform according to CISA based on SCUBA. And even though they have explained based on the policies, based on the conditional access, why it is required, information links are there. So it's overall a great document, and I think you should save this document in your repository, because sometime you need this document to present in front of the people, and that's how you're going to decide what would be the baseline for the Azure Active Directory. But I think you're getting my point. Your users and groups are ready, but how you're going to move forward with the right direction, the first step is the baseline, security baseline for your Azure Active Directory. And then I urge you to move forward. I request you to move forward and discuss about other available options in terms of security. Now let's jump to the Microsoft Azure Active Directory, and there we are going to learn what are the security parameters or the options available for us that we need to go through, and of course should be aware that where are these options whenever we are in need of. So the very first step after you actually create a new Microsoft Azure Active Directory identity management services, the step number one, of course, the license. Why license is important? I told you already. If you have the P2 license, means you are eligible with all sort of features available at this moment in Microsoft Azure Active Directory, including all sort of security features. I am talking about identity governance. I'm talking about application proxy. I'm talking about security attributes, cross-tenant synchronization. I mean, a whole sort of different details that we are going to talk about. Everything is currently supported and available with this license. So step number one. So you have to start with the users. Of course, once you have the user, you need to go to the next step. I'm not going to tell you how to create it. Simply go to create new user and select create new user and go ahead and follow the options, because here you simply need to type your username and of course the password and just simply go on. The important thing you need to know that here, as you can see, the information is on-premises sync enabled. No, no, no. Basically, these users which I actually created are based on Azure Active Directory. If we are running a hybrid solution, or I mean, if we are running a Microsoft server in on-premises and we are connected that Active Directory with this Azure Active Directory, and the users been synchronized from the local or on-premises Active Directory, here the information you can see as a yes. So this is something you need to know, and your identity name is right now HarshArena.onmicrosoft.com. It could be like HarshArena.in or HarshArena.com. It's very easy to understand. The user principal name, which is a kind of a complete name, or we call it FQDN, fully qualified domain name. The fully qualified domain name of this user is like this: chris@harsharena.onmicrosoft.com. And don't worry, I'm going to tell you how you're going to use this user account to log in successfully so that you can start using those information. But one important thing, let me directly let you jump to the audit log, because this is the very next step you need to take care of at this moment. In audit log, and this is the Active Directory logs which you need to start collecting. And remember, at this moment, this is very simple and straight details on this screen. It is a single dashboard where you can see the data. What kind of information you can see? For example, the user being created, like update user, that was a successful one. Set user manager, that has been success. There's a add user operation happen. What time, who did it? All those details you can find here, because currently it's been initiated by the Harsh, I mean the main administrator or the owner, like to whom you want to give the name. I mean, here's a user who is responsible for to do all these operation. You can verify the details here. And of course, much more detail if you like to see. I'll give you one example. Set user manager. So you can simply just try to double click on this, and here on the right hand side you can gather even more update, because here you can see the attributes, the kind of object IDs and the information you can find out. This is the correlation ID that actually happen whenever you perform anything on the Microsoft Azure. It has a correlation ID. It helps you in the troubleshooting. So remember that. And here's the object ID, because likewise I said, we actually are dealing with the schema in Azure Active Directory. And in schema is nothing but a skeleton structure which is currently being maintained behind the scene by Microsoft. And actually Microsoft use these schema detail and make it in a, or populate all this information in a way so that it is so easy for us to start managing those information. And who actually the manager I have set for. So all the details you can find here. What was this and that detail? What was the information? Who is the new manager? All set of detail. Who is the new manager? You can find the detail here if you like to, because these are the audit log. Not only that, if the user has been successfully logged in, again that information you can see here as well. So let's try to find out. Though it is a part of a single sign-on, audit log, whatever the operation been done by the administrators on this Azure Active Directory, because here at this moment, here's a single sign-in. See, interrupted. Why interrupted? Because it actually sent a request to Microsoft Authenticator, a kind of a multi-factor authentication I have enabled for this user. I verified, and then it allows me to log in successfully. Here's a detail, because here's a final detail for you. Anyway, because we are not able to find out the user for Chris or Simon, right? So let's do one thing. Let's go to another browser. I have the another browser, and let's try to log in with the Simon at this moment. So Simon @ HarshArena on Microsoft.com. So what kind of detail we can see? I simply try to log in, whether this user is available or not. Oh, sorry, typo. Likewise, I said, I'm really bad in that. But anyway, it should be recognized. What would be the password at this moment? So let's start with the, I don't know if this is the right password or not, but let's try. Yeah, that's a great password. So let's try with the current password. Okay, I need to set a new password. That's fine. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to do the typo again. So I have to type the correct password. There you go. I click sign in, and it is going to be either allow me to type my password again or allow me to sign in. So I'm happy. But can you see this? Limited or no access. I acknowledge. That's fine. That's fine, because I don't have assigned any subscription, but that's a successful sign in, right? So let's go back and see if we can see any change here. Let me try to refresh. Do we have any more update? Not yet. For sign in? Not yet. That's fine. Do we have any update here? That's fine, because it is the same one, but let's wait for some time, because it takes a little bit while to sign in all those information. And once it has been refreshed, you can definitely identify the name of the user here. Let me sign out so that we can see a complete detail. Let me sign out with a Simon. Yeah, sign out. What about to sign in again? How about that? Let me try to sign in with the right password this time. Let's play around, because I know I'm not able to show you at this moment exactly, but actually, yeah, I will do it later. That's fine, because it is allowing us to set up a Microsoft Authenticator to authenticate my user account, and it allowing me to log in with the same way for next 14 days. But after that, my user is going to be blocked. That's the condition. So let me go back to my user and let me try to refresh. Do we have anything? Come on, Microsoft. I don't want to sign out and do it again. But anyway, it takes a while. So if you have deleted your username in the recent time, you can find all those information. Though it is a part of the preview, but it's a good way to identify, because sometimes some operation been done by the administrator or certain users accidentally. So you really want to know who did that, what was the reason. So all those details you can find it. It's a good way. Anyway, password reset. Though we are going to talk about it, I don't want to talk about it right now, because right now there's no policies been set up. So we'll talk about that password reset policy later on. What are the user settings we like to discuss? And if you remember the security baseline by default for application registration for the external application, I said, please make sure users cannot do that. So you need to make these certain changes based on the requirement, and that's how we are going to play around with the security. Now, this is one thing. Let me check if we can see more details in the sign in now or not. Otherwise, yeah, not now. Let's wait for some more time. I'm fine with that because somehow it is not updating, but not in this video, but in upcoming videos, I will show you we are able to certainly collect those sign-in logs successfully. Let's go to the other way. In HarshArena, there's a couple of things more, like for example, identity governance. So in the identity governance, what options do we have? If you don't understand, you can get all sort of details. If you like to see review common use cases, if you have certain use cases, if you see any compromised users, what are the common use? If someone has hijacked your session, I mean for the users specifically in US, or it's most likely happen in a different country like North Korea, Russia, or in India, Pakistan, different countries, you can get all details right under this place. If you like to manage all the details for the group membership, you can do it. I mean, how much easy for us right now in Azure Active Directory to start playing around with these all things. And I tell you one thing, if you like to see and apply the condition for the users in terms of the permission, here's a role assignment. Review common use cases. I just click on it, and here, whether you have assigned any roles or you have not assigned any roles, secure Azure AD roles. I mean, you can do all that stuff right here. And with a simple set of instructions, you are able to set the right settings or security settings for your user. Because today is not a right day to play around with this, because I like to teach you step by step, but I request you, please go to Azure Active Directory and try out these certain options. Apart from that, we have this, not a company branding. User settings, another good way. We can do that in the certain user, but if you like to apply for all the user in the complete Azure Active Directory, here's a direct way you can do that. Another security features, of course, the options are available here, as well as other places like conditional access, security identities, all sort of things you can manage here. Identity protection, what options do you have? Sign-in risk policy, the people has been signed in, how many people are on the risk. You can gather those reports and submit to your team. I mean, you need to play with these options. You need to know where you have to go and where you have to find out these details. So I think you get the right idea, but I'd like to tell you the next topic is Microsoft Entra, and all of these settings are actually collaborated under one single dashboard, and that's what is exactly the new thing in year of 2023 from the Microsoft Azure Active Directory. I'll show you in a minute. I hope you enjoyed the tour for the Microsoft Azure Active Directory, especially for the security part. And I also understand that you guys are quite desperate to try out these older features. In fact, I also want to show you all those real capabilities to work in the real world, because guys, there are not just the options available. You need to also know that the security baseline is so important for any of the organization, and I will teach you, I will guide you that how you need to talk with the right management, what are the key features you need to present in front of the organization when you actually start deploying the identity management security baseline. And of course, it is all starts with the Microsoft users and the groups, because we only talked about the users. You need to also understand there are groups, and groups is nothing but a kind of a virtual identity where we group all the users together and make a part of a group, so that instead of assigning the permission individually, you can simply choose the group and automatically the permission will be applicable to all of the user which actually a part of that group. That's the purpose of the groups. And you need to understand it is not just gonna be used for the internal, or I mean just user logged in purpose. It is also gonna be used for the application security, identity security management, the Microsoft 365 security policies, a lot of hell of the stuff. We'll talk about those, don't worry. But before that, I'd like to introduce a new feature which I want you to be aware. Right now, the Microsoft Entra in the year of 2023 is in the preview, but I'm 100% sure Microsoft is more than interested to deploy this Microsoft Entra, a kind of a dashboard where you can deploy each and every single thing from minor to major, all sort of those security details under one single dashboard. Start with the user creation, security management, conditional access, identity governance, everything includes in Microsoft Entra. And I will tell you how you can start using it, because it's also start with a verify identity. It's a new feature and we will learn about it, how you can deploy the verified identity. Don't worry about that. But Microsoft Entra actually helps you to provide a secure access to everything for each and every single user, and of course related to identity and access management, so that you can start managing your cloud infrastructure. And of course you verify your users successfully. You can authenticate them, you can authorize them with the right identity, and of course based on the right use cases, sign in risk details, everything you can deploy within Microsoft Entra. And I will walk you through what are the settings at least available. It's not new, because whatever we just have done, everything is now same in Microsoft Entra, but under one roof. That's all. And here's an example. If you're managing your SaaS application, cloud infrastructure, or your local Active Directory, it's a part of the Active Directory intranet. Everything is currently centralized with Entra. So that's how you're going to achieve the right management for your organization. So guys, I'm not gonna bore you with the theoretical concept, but it is just a dashboard to manage each and everything about Microsoft Azure Active Directory. And I'll just share with you where you can find at least the preview details at this moment. So on the Microsoft Azure Portal, you simply go to Azure Active Directory and then try with the My Feed. I mean, simply go to My Feed, and here you can find out, go to Microsoft Entra. Here's a place where you need to simply click on this, and it automatically open a separate window or separate tab where you can get all those details right under one place. Now, this is directly related to the Microsoft 365 portal. How? Because Microsoft 365 portal also managed with the same way. You have a separate Azure Active Directory, which you can see right now. And of course, you have a separate permission management, which certainly we'll talk about, and a new feature in Microsoft Entra, Verified ID. Right now, you can also choose if you like to play around with the Azure Active Directory, you have here. Here you can get all the details. If you click Overview, the same screen pop up here. If you click on Users, All Users, same screen pop up here like Chris. I mean, here you don't need to go to the separate places. In one dashboard, in one place, you can get every single thing. It is a kind of a single view where you can get the details, the devices, how many devices you have currently managed under this Azure Active Directory. Protect and secure, start with a conditional access, start with a identity protection, authentication method. Likewise, I said, under one roof, you will perform all those actions. And believe it or not, when I'm going to explain you with the practical details, I'm going to use Microsoft Entra because it is so easy, so simple. But obviously, if you like to learn from the Microsoft portal at this moment, I will tell you, but this is the future from the Microsoft end in terms of Microsoft Entra. And likewise, I said, we'll talk about these all the features one by one with the details. So guys, that to be all for today, and I think you get some basic idea about the security options available in Microsoft Azure Active Directory, especially what are those, what is security baseline, how it is gonna help you, and of course you learn something new today. That is what my hope is, and I'm assuming with me you are also doing great at your job role and making a difference within your teams. So at this moment, that to be all, and I would like to tell you thank you so much for being with me, and I really appreciate your patience and kind of a happiness that you showed while connecting with me over the YouTube. And I will come up with some surprises. Just stay connected with me, and I'll try to teach you with real-time world practices and with some examples. So at this moment, I take your leave. Please take care. Wish you have a very good day. Take care of your family. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Just now we have a discussion on Microsoft Azure Active Directory security baseline. That's a good stuff because Microsoft is managing it. But what about your emails at this moment? What about your files which you are trying to share over the internet? That also can be compromised. So to protect your files and your email communication, because if you are making a business deal, it's a big deal for you. So guys, Sealit comes up with a solution, and I really fascinated with the solution because they are actually encrypting the file and the emails, and once it reaches to the target, only that specific person can decrypt it, or only that person can able to read all the information. To achieve that, simply follow the referral link in the description and sign in with your email ID. And as soon as you do, and the good stuff is, once you sign in with your username and the password, they are also have a Android and iOS based application which actually allows you to authenticate your request. Unless you do not authenticate, till then it won't allow you to log in with your account. And once you are able to do that successfully, it shows you a screen where you can get all the details, means multiple email IDs you can connect on this dashboard, and you can manage and you can send those emails right from here. The good stuff is you can also see that right now you're sitting in India, and once you are able to download the application for Sealit, you can also start sharing your files over a Sealit dashboard or the platform. The more details I will share in the upcoming videos, but I think it would be really nice and helpful in terms of you like to protect your emails and the files. One last thing before go, they are also coming with the new features like MySpace. What that is, I will tell you, but at this moment I highly recommend this solution for the organization or for the individual who really do care about their files and the email protection, especially over the internet. So guys, enjoy the referral link and learn more about it from the description.